My name is John Marr from Carmen's Road Safety Education, and for 23 years I've been bringing Carmen's story into the lives of secondary college students all around Australia. I'm now going to tell you how dangerous our roads really are. Someone will have been killed on an Australian road today. And I'm now going to tell you how the roads have impacted me and my family. And to do that, I go back to Sunday the 4th of April 1993. The place is Axedale, a beautiful little town just outside of Bendigo. We lived 5 minutes from Axedale. Back then, I was aged 42. That's me, the cute one up on the left-hand side. Ange was also aged 42. We had to have beautiful children. Michelle was aged 20, Katrina 18, Jasmine was aged 16, and our youngest Carmen was aged 15. Ange went to church. Half an hour later, I borrowed Michelle, our eldest daughter's car, and I headed off to what I thought would be the barbecues. Instead, I went to a car crash. And I went to my car crash in Michelle's car, the bottom one. As I was going into Axedale, I saw this four-wheel drive coming out of Axedale, coming out of the 60-kilometre zone. I was in the 80-kilometre zone, slowing towards 60. I noticed it lose control. So I came to a complete stop on the highway and I sat there. It's landed upside down on the roof and bonnet of my car. When I came to for the first time, I heard someone outside the car saying, "Whoever is in there has got to be dead." What saved my life was both front seats broke in the impact, and I was laid back into the back seat and I was squashed into the driver's seat by the roof. I couldn't even lift a hand. I was trapped in the car for an hour and 50 minutes, and I can remember just 3 to 4 minutes of the time that I was in the car. I then said to him, "How are the people in the other car?" He said, "The young lady is deceased." Clearly, I woke up in St John of God's Hospital in Bendigo. I'd had an operation. I was in intensive care. I had machines all around me, bipping and carrying on, and Ange was sitting beside the bed. I can tell you I felt lousy. And the first words out of my mouth to Ange were, "Am I going to make it?" The result of the car crash was that there was one death. I was really seriously injured. And I can tell you that my life, my family's lives, and the lives of so many of our friends were changed forever from that day onwards. I had 26 plates and screws in my face. I have a brain injury, frontal lobe damage. I have neck and back injuries. And I see my physiotherapist still every month, 27 years after that car crash. 3 months after the car crash, all specialists told me that I would never work again. Emma Hayward was aged 18 years and 24 days. Emma had had her licence for just 23 days, and I met Emma's dad 6 weeks after the car crash. He then said, "I bought my daughter a four-wheel drive to keep her safe, and I've killed my only child." And 8 months later, Emma's mum and dad split up, never to get back together again. And as I'm walking up and down in this hydro pool, I'm really quickly learning that a car crash is not just a car crash. A car crash is a game changer. It's a life changer. And far too often, it can be a life taker. But you guys know, don't you, that this will never happen to you. I'm now going to tell you just how fragile our one and only life is, and how anything is possible. Just 2.5 years after I had my car crash, in which poor Emma lost her life, Carmen, our beautiful youngest daughter, was killed in a car crash. Carmen had had her licence for just 3 months. How can this happen to us? How can any family lose a child or a family member? I'll tell you how it happens. I'll tell you about this horrible Saturday morning. So at 7:30, Michelle went down into the kitchen, and here was Carmen, already up, fully dressed, Sitting at the kitchen table, she had her arms on the table like that. She had her head in her arms and she was asleep. And Michelle got a real shock and said, "Carmen, what are you doing up?" What had happened the night before, Carmen's very best friend, Carmen Trevine, that's Carmen Trevine, and our Carmen. Carmen Trevine had come out and stayed the night after school like she had done literally hundreds of times before. These two Carmens were the very best of best friends. Carmen Trevine, also 18 years and 3 months, hadn't even started to learn to drive yet. And Carmen Trevine worked part-time at McDonald's in Bendigo of a weekend. So our Carmen had to take her into work that morning. Just then, Carmen Trevine walked into the kitchen and said, "Come on, Carmen, let's go." So the two Carmens went out to the car, but Michelle went out with them. When they got to the car, Michelle said, "Carmen, you're tired. Wind the window down, turn the wireless up, you'll be right, mate, I'll catch you later," and she gave her a big thumbs up. What we didn't know at that time was that the two Carmens were definitely tired because they talked in the bedroom until 4:30 in the morning, as you do when you have your friend over. Carmen drove out the gate, gave us a toot as she left home to go into Bendigo like our kids always do. It was a 20-minute drive into Bendigo, 20 minutes home. Michelle went back inside and got ready for work. At 8:10, Michelle got into her car. And I can tell you exactly what Michelle felt, what she went through and what she did that particular morning. Because for 3 years, Michelle was so brave that she gave this part of the presentation at schools for me. Michelle drove out the gate. She went down to Mackay Highway where you turn right to go into Bendigo. It's a T intersection. She looked right towards Bendigo and you can see at least a kilometre up the highway and there was no traffic coming. She said her heart nearly stopped. She thought, "Where's Carmen? I should be seeing Carmen by now." She turned right and started driving in towards Bendigo because she needed you to know exactly who you are. You are the most important person in the world to the family and the people who love you so much. As she was driving along, she said her heart was now racing. She started to feel sick. She felt like vomiting. There were still no cars coming. She knew that there was something wrong, and she said in her heart she knew that whatever it was to do with Carmen. Guys, just 5 kilometres from home, this is what Michelle found. Can you believe that at 7 minutes past 8 on this magnificent Saturday morning, that our beautiful little girl could go to sleep at the wheel and crash into this tree, and Carmen killed herself on us? Thank God she dropped Carmen Trevine off at McDonald's. Michelle pulled over. She went running towards the car. Michelle was the 3rd car on the scene. Fortunately for us, the first person on the scene was a young policeman who was on patrol. It had just happened when he arrived. He was standing right there beside the car and he saw Michelle running towards the car and he stepped out and grabbed her a meter from the car and he said, "Where do you think you're going, young lady?" Michelle said, "That's my sister in that car and I'm going to take her home." He said, "I can't let you go there." Michelle could see the condition of the car. She could see the blanket. She then asked the policeman, "Is Carmen all right?" This 24-year-old police officer burst into tears. He said, "I'm really sorry, but your sister is dead." Michelle started screaming. She started fighting with him. She actually punched him in the face to try and get away from him, to get to Carmen. Fortunately for us, he held her tighter. She then pleaded with him. She said, "Please let me go to Carmen. She's in that car on her own. I need to be with Carmen. I need to hold Carmen's hand." He said, "I can't let you do that." We all went inside with the policeman. He put the kettle on. We're sitting at the kitchen table with our arms around each other, crying and saying prayers for Carmen. And then it dawned on me, and it'll dawn on your dad or your mum. I have to ring Katrina Our second eldest daughter, Katrina, she's 21 years old and she's working in Sydney. Katrina came to the phone and before I could say anything, she said, "Dad, fancy you ringing me on a Saturday morning. I didn't even want to come to work today, Dad. This is sensational. You've made my day." I said, "Trina, I've got some really, really bad news to tell you. Trina, there's been a car accident. And Trina, I'm really sorry, it's Carmen. And Trina, Carmen is dead." What I heard on the other end of the phone will be similar to what your mum or dad will hear. I heard poor little Katrina saying, "No, Dad. No, Dad. No, Dad, not Carmen, Dad. No, Dad, no." Then she dropped the phone in this Bets and Bet shoe store and I could hear Trina screaming at the top of her voice, "Carmen, Carmen, Carmen, Carmen." And I couldn't even put my arms around her to support her. I then rang my mum and dad at Bungaree, Carmen's grandparents. They were both 69 years old. I said, "Mum, I've got some really bad news to tell you. Mum, there's been a car accident. And Mum, it's Carmen. And Mum, Carmen is dead." I heard my poor old mum scream out to Dad, "Jack, Jack, Jack, my God, Jack, Carmen's been killed in a car crash. How could Carmen make me do that to my mum? How can you make your parents make these phone calls to your family?" I then started on the rest of my family. Brendan Carmen's dead, Peter Carmen's dead, Terry Carmen's dead, Gavin Carmen's dead, and my sister Carmel, Carmen's dead. I started on Angie's family. Huey Carmen's dead, Jim. We had a yellow teledex beside the phone. In that teledex, there were 140 phone numbers. All of my friends, Angie's, Michelle's, Katrina's, Jasmine's, and all of Carmen's friends' phone numbers were in our yellow teledex. And between Angie and I, we rang all of them. This absolutely changed our lives. But guys, this is a family's worst nightmare. But I have never been so proud of 6 girls in my entire life. There's Michelle, there's Trine, there's Jazzy. She's only 18 months older than Carmen. Their cousins Lisa, Alison and Julie. That's my poor old mum and dad up there behind me. Do you know what these brave, brave girls are doing? They are carrying their sister and their cousin out of St. Teresa's Church in a coffin at the biggest funeral I have ever been to in my life. You see, I just thought Carmen was Carmen, but she wasn't. Carmen was so much more than that. Carmen was everybody's Carmen. And you are not just you. You are the most important person in the world to the people who love you so much. Now I come to the best part of my presentation. This is where I get to introduce all of you to our beautiful Carmen. I took this video of Carmen on Christmas Day, less than 2 years before we lost Carmen. I now like to introduce you to Carmen.
Good evening, and I'm Carmen Ma for the second edition of the 10 o'clock news. Okay, now, as you can see, we are in the Ma house at Christmas dinner. Now, yes, it is a great occasion for the whole family. Yes, now, as you can see, we have lollies and cake, and the pudding is just around the corner, which you can come and join us if you want. And that's all, and there'll be money and pudding, you know, a great Christmas dinner. It's just fabulous. The meaning of Christmas. Hey, no, what the meaning of Christmas is? Okay, now, if we come this way, excuse me, let's poop. As you can see, this is the real meaning of Christmas. Now that is the one special thing about Christmas. The love in the heart that comes out from the whole family is to give presents, as you can see.
So what do we miss the most about Carmen? What will your family miss the most about you? Clearly, what I miss the most about Carmen is I can't give Carmen a cuddle. This is our family. This was taken on Christmas Day. And here we are, Ange and I, with our grandchildren. The future of safe driving on our roads, I firmly believe, is our learner drivers. The safest time of every driver's life statistically is proven to be when you're learning to drive. And the most dangerous time of every driver's life is the first 6 months after you get your licence. Why are there so many deaths on our roads? Guys, there's always been speeding, always, and it's been a huge killer on our roads. If you see a sign that says 100, don't go over 100. If it says 60, don't go over 60. This is really simple. Simple.
Ferntree Gully Road, its driver dead after being hit from the side by a speeding Mazda with 4 teenagers on board. The driver who hit him, a 19-year-old man from Bayswater North, escaped with pelvic injuries. He lay on the nature strip while paramedics tried to save his friends on the back seat. One died later in hospital. Another is still critical.
These are kids, children, driving lethal weapons on our roads.
Security footage shows another car just before the crash. Then, in a flash, the Mazda speeds by 1 second from impact.
Last year, 1 in every 482 drivers were caught driving over 0.05, and that is not the biggest killer on our roads. 1 in every 5th driver tested is found to be driving under the influence of drugs. And your family will have thousands of photos of you just like we have of our family. Because when I had my car crash, all my girls thought they may have lost their dad in a car crash. Carmen was just 15 at the time. They all gave me get well cards. And I'm now going to read to you what my 15-year-old daughter Carmen wrote to me in her get well card. She said, "Dad, I love you. I love you more than anything. The feeling of darkness, the feeling of loneliness. The feeling of not having a father nearly broke my heart. The feeling of not seeing you was like a bomb going off inside of me. The thought, the pain that went through us all was like a nothing that swept our hearts, a nothing that dug deeper and deeper every minute, every second of the day. But then to hear your voice and to see your face, it gave me that love that every one of us thought we had lost. I love you, Dad. I love you more than anything. Love, Carmen." And guys, just 2.5 really short years later, we lost our beautiful Carmen in a car crash, and we lost her forever. Understand who you are. You are the most important person in the world to those people who love you so much. You can't do to your family what Carmen has done to us. Stay safe always. And on behalf of my family and myself, Carmen is our gift to all of you. We want you to take Carmen with you as you travel the roads. Understand how important your actions are and how important it is that you must get home to your family every single day.